hummingbirds are called hummingbirds because of the noise that their wings make when they beat. So they beat so quickly that they make that humming noise. Hummingbird wings can beat as fast as 80 times per second.
And that's not the only cool thing about them. There's more than 300 species of hummingbirds, making them the second largest family of birds on the planet. And they all live right here in the Americas. They move up and down the entire Western Hemisphere, migrating annually from Alaska all the way down to Chile in South America. We're pretty lucky here in Las Vegas because we're placed conveniently right in the middle of the Pacific Flyway, a popular migratory route, so we get a lot of those travelers. But we have our locals as well.
We do have a couple of species that will be living here all year round, so that are native. We do have the Annas, which I think are the ones that are the most recognizable for everybody. They're the ones with the nice bright red head. And they're usually who you see at your feeder. They're one of the bigger sized hummingbirds too, so they're real obvious, and the males are so iridescent red on their head that it's real hard to miss them. We also have a black-chinned hummingbird, which sometimes is native. They will sometimes stay all year round, but those are the two that are generally considered to be local. But then we also have Costas, which have the purple head, and they kind of have that little mustache that comes out on the side. The males, they're real cute. They are starting to stay. So they do migrate, but sometimes we see them year-round as well, especially in areas where there's lots of food sources for them. So a place like the Springs Preserve, we might see Costas all year round here.
Their high metabolism keeps them very busy regardless of the temperature variables here. No matter the weather, they're out foraging for food. But being so small, you'd probably assume that they don't eat much, right?
It's actually the opposite. They eat more due to their size and their super high metabolism. They eat 2 times their body weight in a day. And they don't just eat nectar. So the nectar really provides the energy source for them, for their body. It's what keeps their metabolism going. But what they really get all of their sustenance from is protein from insects. So they kind of, if you think about it, the nectar is the fuel for them to go and hunt and find those insects to eat.
One of the most defining characteristics of hummingbirds is that long beak. Its purpose is readily apparent when we see them approaching a flower.
Their long beak is designed so that they can reach down into flowers all the way inside to get the nectar that's inside. And their tongue is forked at the end, kind of like a snake. And so it actually curls up on the sides and it lets them lap the nectar out of the flower. And they also, when they're doing that, they get pollen on their faces and on their beaks. And so they actually are really important pollinators as well, because as they go to flower, getting all that nectar, they're pollinating the flowers as they move to them. And if you've ever watched a hummingbird, they are busy when they're eating, so they do a lot of pollination.
The need to eat that much food each day certainly keeps them very busy. And it's their speedy, swooping flight that draws our attention, so it's understandable we'd think that they stay constantly on the move because that's often the way we notice them. Their diminutive size makes it very hard to find them when they're just sitting stationary, but that's how they spend a lot of their days.
Really, they spend the majority of their day perched and digesting. And they'll go for little spurts of time and they'll fly around to the different flowers. But they usually spend only like 20% of their day flying around, and then the other around 80% is spent perching and digesting. But they do not walk around on the branches. You won't see them hop around. Their feet just basically are there for perching purposes. So yeah, they don't work quite the same way as a lot of the other birds that you see flying around here.
As prolific and resourceful as they are, there are more than a dozen of their species that are critically endangered. Due to loss of habitat, mostly in South and Central America, some species are expected to be extinct within the next 50 years. So it wouldn't hurt to make life a little bit easier on those who pass our way.
It's actually pretty easy to attract hummingbirds here in Las Vegas, which is pretty cool. They love anything bright colored. So if you find especially bright red or orange, pink colored plants, those are always really popular with the hummingbirds. Everybody in town loves the lantana. The butterflies love that too, so there's a bonus. You can get both. Sages, like autumn sage, work really well for hummingbirds. And then feeder-wise, there's all sorts of feeders that you can buy in the stores. It doesn't have to be fancy or expensive, and it's super easy to make hummingbird food. All you need is just plain white sugar and water. And it's 1 to 4, 25% sugar to water, because it has the right percentages of fructose and glucose in it. So it's perfect for them. And it makes it real simple, and they're a real easy little friend to have come visit in your yard.
Over the last 10 years, by creating a nurturing environment, the Springs Preserve has become a favorite stopping off place for hummingbirds. Even the more rare migratory species have been spotted here.
You know, the best thing about here is really I see hummingbirds everywhere. Back by the animal exhibits, I see hummingbirds every day. The gardens is just awash in hummingbirds all the time. And it's nice because it's in the middle of town, and so it's a stopping point because we've got water sources, we've got plant and nectar sources. And you know, so it's a great place to come and see them. And not just hummingbirds, but we have a ton of bird species here, especially during migration season. You can see some amazing animals that you wouldn't normally get to see in Las Vegas just by visiting one place.